What is the concept of compound thinking? Let's begin by explaining it through a more relatable topic: wealth. We all know Warren Buffett was once the richest person in the world. Even now, he remains in the top 10 on the global wealth list. But what most people don't realize is that 99% of Buffett's wealth was accumulated after the age of 50. In other words, before he turned 50, he was probably just like many of us, an ordinary middle-class individual. It was only after 50 that he entered his phase of explosive wealth growth. Why is this? How did Buffett achieve it? Before answering that, let me give you a simple question. Imagine you have a piece of ordinary paper that's 0.04 meters thick. If you fold it 64 times, how tall would it be? Most people might guess that folding a piece of paper 64 times might at best make it a few dozen meters tall. But in reality, if you calculate it, a single sheet of paper folded 64 times would reach a height of 1.66 trillion kilometers. To put that into perspective, the distance from Earth to the Moon is only 384,000 kilometers. That's the power of compound thinking. When someone has only 40 cents, they might be seen as poor by others. However, if they manage to double that 40 cents repeatedly, 64 times over, it would grow into an astonishing $1.66 quadrillion. That's the power of compound interest. The concept of compound thinking is built on this principle, consistently repeating a small action so that its results grow larger and larger, until they eventually become extraordinary. Scientists express this compounding effect through a formula, =px, 1 plus random, where p is the principle, r is the growth rate, and n is time. If you commit to doing something with a positive growth rate, for example, reading for just 30 minutes a day, at first 1 or 2 days won't make much of a difference. But after 30 or 40 years, the gap between you and others will be unimaginable. Or consider exercising for 30 minutes daily. Initially, you might not feel much stronger. But decades later, among your peers, some may no longer be here. Others may struggle with frailty, while you could still enjoy hearty meals and climb 6 flights of stairs without breaking a sweat. As long as the growth rate is positive and you're doing the right things, time will eventually deliver miracles. If you can harness the power of compounding in the following 4 areas, you'll unlock life-changing results. 1. The compounding effect of wealth. We all understand the snowball effect. As a snowball rolls, it collects more snow and becomes larger. The larger it gets, the more snow it can collect, repeating the cycle, until it grows to a size that's hard to imagine. Wealth works the same way. Once you have an initial amount of capital, even if it's small, as long as it generates returns, even at a low rate like 5%, the compounding effect over time can turn it into a substantial fortune. Warren Buffett shared an example in his 2006 letter to shareholders. From January 1st, 1900 to December 31st, 1999, the Dow Jones Index grew from 65.73 to 11,497.12, an increase of 176 times. But what was the annual compound growth rate? Just 5.3%. Is there a secret to this incredible growth? Not at all. It's simply the power of compound thinking. Do simple things repeatedly and do repeated things with dedication. If compounding is so straightforward, why do so many people fail to accumulate wealth? The reason is that most people dismiss a 5% return as too low, overlooking the astonishing results compounding delivers over time. Many believe the core of compounding lies in achieving high returns. But in reality, the true essence of compounding is patience and persistence over time. The problem isn't the ability to achieve results, it's the lack of patience. Some people avoid starting because the returns seem too low. Others chase high returns, taking on excessive risks and eventually failing. This is one of the key differences between a wealthy mindset and a poor mindset. Most people dream of getting rich overnight, seeking rapid wealth in the shortest time possible. But high returns often come with high risks, leading to losses or even debt. True investors focus on steady wealth growth. They balance return rates and time and avoid putting all their eggs in one basket, a principle central to value investing. As Buffett famously said, "Life is like a snowball. The important thing is finding wet snow in a really long hill." 2. The compounding effect of knowledge. Compound thinking isn't just for building wealth, it can also be applied to accumulating and enhancing knowledge. Take Li Xiaolai as an example. He was an English teacher at New Oriental. He made it a habit to read for 2 hours every day without fail, and kept it up for 7 years. In December 2016, he launched a column on a self-media platform to share the knowledge he had acquired. Do you know how many subscriptions his column sold? 105,866 copies, generating over 20 million RMB in just 5 months. Another example is Lei Wei, a delivery driver. He participated in the Chinese poetry competition and defeated a scholar from Peking University to win the championship. His story may sound like a fairy tale, but it's a true demonstration of compound thinking. How did Lei Wei achieve this? Despite his busy work schedule, he found time to study. While delivering orders, he made the most of fragmented moments to memorize classical Chinese poetry. It was this consistent effort over time that transformed him from an ordinary person into a poetry master. This is the power of knowledge compounding. Knowledge truly has the potential to change your destiny, but only if you accumulate enough of it. 3. The compounding effect of health. Staying healthy for 40 consecutive years without even catching a cold sounds impossible, doesn't it? For most people, it seems incredibly difficult. It's already impressive if someone manages to stay healthy for a year. But 40 years without even a single cold? That feels almost unbelievable. Yet a 76-year-old man achieved this. His name is Zhang Guantong. Unlike most elderly people his age, Zhang doesn't look like he's in his 70s. He has a lean and muscular physique. Though not overly bulky, his skin remains firm and his body fat is minimal. Most importantly, since he turned 30, he hasn't been sick, not even with a cold. How did he achieve this? He runs 2 kilometers every day and swims for half an hour. Even during the coldest winters, he never skips his routine. From the age of 31, he has kept this up for a remarkable 46 years. What's the reward for such persistence? His physical fitness and appearance make him look 20 years younger than his peers. Health, too, benefits from compounding. Just an extra 20 minutes of exercise daily can provide your body with more energy, which in turn helps you perform better the next day. Maintaining good health isn't difficult. Eat 3 balanced meals a day. Stick to a regular sleep schedule. Exercise or run for 30 minutes every day. If you keep this up, your body will surely reward you. 4. The compounding effect of relationships. Relationships also have a compounding effect. Especially in today's world where social media is so prevalent, we often hear the term emotional bank. What is an emotional bank? When you ask a friend for help, it's like withdrawing money from your emotional bank. When you help a friend, it's like depositing money into your emotional bank. The emotional bank is essentially your network of relationships. The more deposits you have in your emotional bank, the richer your network becomes. The compounding effect of relationships asks, are you depositing into your emotional bank every day? Or are you constantly making withdrawals? Put simply, a person who constantly asks for favors versus someone who consistently helps others will leave very different impressions on those around them. The master of interpersonal relationships, Dale Carnegie, introduced the SMILE principle. Every morning at work, smile at all your colleagues. After a year, you'll see unexpected results. Why does this happen? Because the goodwill conveyed through your smile will spread to others and eventually come back to you. For example, people may be more proactive when working with you, or more forgiving of your mistakes. These positive responses will encourage you to smile more, creating a virtuous cycle. The ultimate reward of compounding relationships is you'll build a positive reputation among your peers, so much so that whenever your name is mentioned, people will say, he's such a great person. The tipping point of the compounding effect. A scholar once said, quantitative change leads to qualitative change. From the perspective of compound thinking, many of life's goals are not as difficult to achieve as they seem. So why do so many people fail to reach their goals? Because they lack persistence. They don't make it past the tipping point. In the compounding effect, there is a critical threshold, the tipping point. Once you push past this tipping point, whatever you're working on will begin to grow exponentially and enter a positive cycle. Take Warren Buffett's wealth growth as an example. Going from $0 to $1 million is incredibly difficult. It might take decades. But once he passed the $1 million tipping point, growing from $1 million to $2 million and then to $5 million became much easier. Whether it's mastering a skill or exercising daily, most people give up because they don't see results in the short term. In reality, it's not that reading books or working out doesn't work. It's that you haven't yet reached the tipping point. So even if you understand the concept of compound thinking, that's not enough. You must also learn to persevere and push past the tipping point. Only then can you fully leverage the power of the compounding effect and truly transform your life. Of course, the compounding effect isn't just a force for positive change. If it turns negative, its destructive power can be equally terrifying. Every instance of failure, such as forming bad habits, is like a snowflake accumulating on an unstable snowball, eventually causing it to collapse. Here's an example. If you exercise for 30 minutes every day, your health metrics after 10 years will far exceed those who don't exercise. But if someone stays up late for 30 minutes every day, a few years later they might find themselves battling various health issues. Assume someone's current state is 1. If they improve by 1% every day, such as reading or exercising, after 1 year their state will become 1, 0, 30, 65, 37.38. Conversely, if they decline by 1% every day, such as wasting time or staying up late, after 1 year their state will become 0, 99,365, 0.05. The difference between 37.38 and 0.05 is staggering. While these are just theoretical numbers, they convey an essential lesson. Even tiny daily improvements can dramatically alter your life trajectory over time. Likewise, small daily declines can lead to complete failure. So strive to improve a little every day. As investment guru Charlie Munger once said, make sure you go to bed each night a little wiser than when you woke up and leave the rest to time. With persistence, time will help you enter a positive cycle and transform your life. Thank you for watching and see you next time.